So, FC26 is dropped, and everyone's asking the same question. Is this the football game we've been waiting for, or just another copy-paste job with fancy new menus? Look, I'll cut to the chase. This year's game is going to split the community harder than a ref giving a penalty in the 89th minute. Some people are going to say this is the best single-player FC we've had in years thanks to Authentic Mode. Others will see it as the same old game with EA trying to charge full price for what feels like a season update. Let me break it all down for you. First up, gameplay, because that's where FC26 either proves it's different or shows it's just FC25 with new packaging. The big talking point this year is the gameplay presets. You've got competitive mode, which is fast, sharp, and built for sweaty online matches. Then there's authentic mode, which is slower, more tactical, and designed for people who want matches to feel like watching actual 90-minute games on TV. On paper, that sounds great. 2 different flavors depending on what you're after. In practice, competitive really does feel like the usual online chaos. Quick moves, lightning-fast dribbles, and keepers that sometimes pull off superhero saves. Authentic mode, though, that's where things get interesting. It slows everything down, gives you more time on the ball, and makes matches feel like they're breathing more. But let's be honest, sometimes authentic just feels like competitive with the sliders turned down. Slower pace, fewer auto tackles, more build-up. It's definitely better for offline sessions, but don't expect it to magically turn the game into a full simulation. Still, the option is there, and that's a step forward compared to past years where you had to dig into custom sliders just to change how a match felt. Now, a lot of people are saying authentic mode is nothing more than a slider set we already had in FC25, just dressed up with a new name. And yeah, I get where they're coming from. Authentic does slow the game down by using sliders. It lowers passing accuracy, shooting accuracy, all that stuff you'd expect. But authentic mode is more than just sliders. There's also a separate toggle for authentic features, and that toggle makes a huge difference in how matches feel. Going back to FC25 after playing FC26 on authentic mode was eye-opening. FC25 vanilla gameplay feels like a 3 out of 10 arcade mess compared to this. Authentic in FC26, while not perfect and with flaws we'll talk about later, is actually a solid, enjoyable football experience. It feels like a good mod slapped onto FC25, and I mean that in a good way. The movement this year feels more grounded. Players don't glide around the pitch like hovercrafts anymore. There's more weight to their steps while still allowing quick turns. Running animations also look cleaner, but they're still kind of goofy. Some guys will still pump their arms like they're doing a TikTok dance challenge. And you'll notice a bit of skating here and there, but to me it's okay. I can look past running animations right now and actually get lost in matches again. That's a big win, because I couldn't do that for the past few years. Dribbling and ball physics have seen tweaks too. You'll notice tighter control when you're one-on-one with a defender, skill moves feel more responsive, and there's a nice snap when you pull off a roulette or quick turn. Ball deflections are less chaotic compared to FC25. You don't see as many pinball rebounds gifting your opponent a cheap goal. Passing also feels much better in FC26. I have way fewer situations where the ball goes to the wrong player. The cheap through balls are really useful this year, especially on counters. And here's one I love. Headers are finally back. Crossing from the wings is finally good again, because in FC25, almost every header sailed over the bar. But in FC26, on authentic mode, if you've got a strong striker, you can actually play a crossing game. It adds variety and makes target men useful again. For me, since I like this playstyle, that's a huge win. Goalkeepers are surprisingly better at swatting away shots without spilling the ball right back into the danger zone. Sure, they still have those "what was that dive" moments, but overall they're less frustrating. They're godlike against long shots, swatting away screamers from 20 yards out, but give them a close range effort and they can still look silly. Defensive AI has been cleaned up too. Players track runs better, and you don't see defenders randomly freezing or ignoring a striker running past them as often. The defensive line at least tries to mark some runners in authentic gameplay. Tackles feel more efficient, defensive movements feel more accurate and reliable. Things like automatic tracking back for players not under your control feel like real improvements to defensive player AI. That said, don't expect miracles. There are still moments when defenders step up like they're trying out for a mannequin challenge, letting the attacker stroll through. It's improved, but not fixed. But FC26 still has some major problems. Let's start with ball physics, which are flat out terrible. The ball floats like a balloon, especially on long passes and crosses. Shots feel fine, they've got bang to them, but whenever you try to switch play, the ball just hangs in the air forever, giving defenders all the time in the world to reset. It kills the flow, looks really bad, and makes crossing less effective than it should be, even with the header buff. Then we've got the AI on your team. Defenders are a bit smarter than they used to be, but they're still far from decent. They're still obsessed with keeping the back line. Midfielders are still lost, not knowing if they should pressure the midfield or fall back to help with forwards. There are weird inconsistencies when it comes to fullbacks too. But on the opponent side, once they're set in defense, they turn into prime Maldini. If you're countering, you can catch them off guard, but give them time to organize, and it's like playing against a brick wall. Perfectly structured, perfectly timed tackles, hard pressure. The AI in this game is really bizarre. And that brings up variety, or rather the lack of it. Opponent teams feel basically the same no matter who you're playing. There's no tactical identity to teams that I can feel. A big part of it is that the AI's attacking patterns are very boring and predictable, and it makes matches blend together. When it comes to scoring, over time you'll notice that goals start to look the same, especially with goalkeepers making long-distance shots in inefficient way to play. So you're always trying to get inside the penalty box to score, which gets boring. And can anyone tell me what happened with fouls in FC26? I get maybe 1 foul each match, most of the time 0. 0! It's kind of ridiculous, and I'm surprised it wasn't flagged by testers during early development. I think part of the reason for the foul issue is that computer defenders are picture perfect with their tackles, so there are almost no fouls against them. Now let's talk modes, because for a lot of players, that's where you'll spend most of your time. Career mode continues to get love this year, mostly in quality of life upgrades. Transfers feel smoother, the menus are easier to navigate, and the overall presentation is slicker. It's not a complete overhaul, but at least it feels less like a mode EA forgets exists. If you're the type who enjoys taking a club from rags to riches, or making your own player and living the dream, Career is more enjoyable now thanks to those refinements. This year, EA added a new mode called Manager Life. Think of it like Career mode, but more dynamic. You're supposed to get weekly challenges, changing scenarios. It even lets you unlock legendary players through a season pass system. It seems designed to shake things up and keep the mode fresh. Problem is that the mode seems to be buggy. First, all players on your team have black shoes, and you can't fix it by editing players. It just keeps going back to black shoes. It's crazy that the game made it to early access 1 week before release with such a basic issue. Then we have challenges that don't seem to work. For instance, there's a Relive Ronaldo era in Real Madrid, but it seems like you can just play with modern Real Madrid squad, and Ronaldo, the Brazilian one, isn't even on the list of icons to be unlocked. What the hell, EA? Players are now offered more ways to engage with the mode, with specific scenarios being offered when you're starting your career. Tasks like dealing with a big points deduction at the start of a season, winning a certain amount of trophies, or dealing with unique financial problems holding back your club's development. Another option lets you simulate a total of 5 leagues at the same time, which will be popular with career mode fans, I imagine. While those additions feel meaningful, others feel more surface level. For instance, the new Unexpected Events feature claims to throw curveballs at you in the middle of a season. Players suddenly deciding they want to leave, unforeseen injuries or retirements. Really though, this just feels like EA taking an ordinary part of the career mode experience and slapping a label on it to make it feel like a big new addition. Dealing with unexpected player events is what career mode has always been built on. This just seems like a different skin that doesn't change much on the surface, much less at its core. If you're more of a purist, the classic original career mode is still here. For the most part, it's unchanged. You still build your team over multiple seasons, deal with board goals, manage finances, and develop young players. There are a few minor tweaks here, like some small unexpected events happen as you go through the season, but it's basically the same long-term stable experience we've had in previous years. Ultimate Team is still the star of the show, whether you love it or hate it. Early access means the web app and companion app are already up, and people are grinding out those first squads, completing SBCs, and trying to flip cards in the market. If you're into FUT, you'll feel right at home. Evolutions, early Team of the Week cards, and the same pack opening highs and lows are all here. But yeah, the same problems are back too. Microtransactions, early market chaos, and that constant temptation to drop real money just to get a head start. It's the same cycle every year. Unless you're careful, you can end up spending more than you planned. EA also did a pretty solid job with quality of life changes. First off, you can finally turn off those annoying POV cutscenes. You know, the ones where you suddenly see through a player's eyes or the referee as he pulls out a yellow card. It's cool the first time, but gets boring really quick. Sadly, the forced hypermotion replays are still here, so we're not totally free from those weird replay things and cutscenes. Gameplay sliders got a nice upgrade too. Now you can tweak things like header accuracy, tackle forgiveness, interception errors, and more. It may sound like a small thing, but honestly, the more control we have over gameplay, the better. There's also a simplified skill moves option added to the game. This makes dribbling way easier for players who struggle with right stick skills or for accessibility reasons. But I don't recommend this to anyone who can actually dribble. It takes away most of the skills available in the game and adds a few quite simple ones. I tried it once and immediately wanted to turn it off. There are more additions like turning off stadium or player shadows. Overall, I've never seen this much depth in customization when it comes to EA football games. For once, you can really tune the game to your liking, and that's awesome. On the presentation side, FC26 does look sharp. Visually, FC26 is a step forward, but it's not a leap. It's basically FC25 with a fresh haircut. Sharper textures, more detailed players, and jerseys that actually move like fabric instead of rubber. Stadiums feel alive, lighting is more realistic and cleaner, giving matches a sharper, more natural look. Check out footage of a match in cloudy weather during nighttime at Old Trafford. It's really impressive work. Color palette is more natural this year too. It feels like EA looked at the most popular PC reshade and graphic mods and just baked them straight into the game, which is great. Player likenesses, especially for the bigger stars, are impressive. Crowd reactions, intros, and little broadcast-style touches add immersion. It's not jaw-droppingly different from last year, but if you're playing on next-gen hardware or PC with the upgrades, you'll notice the polish. On older consoles, the gap is a lot smaller, so don't expect miracles if you're still rocking a PS4 or Xbox One. That said, I'm still not sold on EA's art direction since FC24. The players sometimes look more like Pixar characters than real footballers. Technically very solid, yes, but not fully my vibe. On PC, the game holds up really well for me. Running it on Ryzen 5 5800X with an RTX 3070 and 32 GB of RAM, I'm getting a solid 120 plus FPS on ultra settings with ambient occlusion set to high at 1440p resolution. That's the good news. The bad news? Just like in every FC game for the past few years, set pieces tank the frame rate. Corners, free kicks, my FPS nosedives like a defender in the box. It's not game-breaking, but definitely worth flagging if you're hoping for improvement in this area. Now here's where things get a little messy, the launch itself. Early access went live on the 19th, but not everyone actually got to play. PC players especially have been running into errors just trying to launch the game. Stuff like missing registry fields, old launcher bugs, or just being told the game hasn't come out yet, even though they paid for early access. Imagine paying extra for the Ultimate Edition, sitting down with snacks ready, and then being told, sorry, maybe tomorrow. EA has acknowledged the issues and is working on fixes. Of course, it wouldn't be an EA release without bugs, and FC26 has unfortunately plenty of them. If you enabled simplified skill moves, it can get bugged and stays on whether you like it or not. Menus can randomly freeze, forcing a full restart of the game. My controller even stopped working during some matches, but it still worked in the pause menu, which was weird and frustrating, especially in Ultimate Team matches. And remember that Manager Life career mode I mentioned earlier? Yeah, that one shipped with the Black Boots bug. Individually, these aren't huge problems, but stack a few together in one session and it starts to feel less like a finished product from a major company and more like an early access build from an indie studio. And that brings us to the big question. Is FC26 worth playing? If you're a die-hard FUT player, you're going to be here no matter what, grinding packs, trading players, and chasing that dream team. For you, FC26 offers enough tweaks to keep it feeling fresh without shaking up the formula too much. If you're into career mode or offline play, the authentic preset and quality updates make matches feel more thoughtful, and there's enough polish to keep things interesting. But if you're expecting a revolution, you're not going to find it here. FC26 is still very much a yearly upgrade. The core gameplay is smoother, yes. The visuals are sharper, yes. But under the hood, this is still the same yearly cycle. And a lot of the long-standing frustrations like inconsistent AI, occasional server hiccups, and FUT's paid-to-win structure are still around. Here's the thing, though. Football games are a bit like transfer rumors. Every year you're told it's going to be the biggest signing, the one that changes everything. And every year it's usually more like a steady squad player. You need it, you'll use it, but it's not blowing your socks off. FC26 is that steady signing. It gets the job done, looks decent on the pitch, and keeps the franchise moving forward. But it's not the generational talent that changes the game forever. So if you're on the fence, ask yourself this. Do you actually want to play more of what you already had in FC25 with a few smart improvements, or are you looking for something totally new? If it's the first, FC26 is worth your time. If it's the second, you might find yourself waiting for next season. For the first time since FIFA 22, I feel like EA's football game is genuinely worth our time. I've had a lot of fun with it so far, despite its flaws. And once the modding community gets rolling on PC, it's only going to get better. It's also the first release in years where the series feels like it's moving in the right direction with gameplay instead of getting worse year after year. And honestly, with the lack of real competition in the market, that alone makes it worth giving a shot. At the end of the day, FC26 is fun, but it's safe. You'll score screamers, rage at the AI, open packs that crush your soul, and celebrate goals that make you jump off the couch. It's football as usual, just don't expect miracles. Expect a solid season with a few bright spots and a few frustrating red cards.